Hey guys, Give Go Gamer, bringing you another Pokemon video. Today I want to just talk about some of the biggest changes for competitive before we hit Regulation E this next month. It's right around the corner here. I just want to talk about like the returning TMs that just got released in the Teal Mass DLC, and then also some of the returning Pokemon. We've been doing moveset guides on a few of these guys here. I know we still need to do like the new forms, Sinistra and Dipplin, and we also talk about Ursaluna. We're gonna skip those today and just talk about the returning Pokemon. And let's go ahead and start with first talking about the TMs that got returned, because there's some big ones that we need to talk about here. So we'll just kind of go through this list really quick. Roar's kind of nice. Charge doesn't really matter too much. Haze is going to be kind of nice as an anti-setup one. Toxic is back in the game as a TM. It's definitely limited with the amount of Pokemon that get access to the Toxic here. Let's take a look. Toxic. But there definitely are some nice ones. Bellabolt's kind of cool. I don't know if it got that before. Gliscor gets the Toxic again, but what I found out after looking at this Pokemon is it no longer has access to the Roost, which is very, very sad for this Pokemon. It also doesn't have Guillotine, so you can't really even do some fun stuff with that. So that makes it a lot harder to use Gliscor. I don't really know why they can't give Gliscor Roost when they gave some Pokemon as many like the things that they gave it, especially right now with Power Creep, but regardless, Sand Tomb, maybe you can do some funny things with like trapping Pokemon. We've seen some crazy stuff with like Dragonite this year, using like Fire Spin and trapping. Maybe there's one with Parashon Sand Tomb. Let's look that up too, actually, real quick. I'm really curious. Parashon and Sand Tomb. Okay, there is no Pokemon right now that gets access to both those moves. That'd be kind of cool if there was, but it doesn't look like it. Spite's not really that useful. Gravity is kind of cool, because I don't know if you guys know, but Gravity actually increases the chance of your moves, like the accuracy of the moves too. So it always like isn't just for like trying to hit flying and up-type Pokemon with ground type moves, but you can actually increase the accuracy of your moves. So there's some cool things you can do with Gravity. So that's just kind of a cool thing to note. Smackdown's not really that useful. Gyro Balls being back in the game is going to be really nice with those slow Pokemon, just giving them another option. Knockoff's a really, really big one. Having a lot of Pokemon get access to the knockoff again is going to be huge. It's just such a good move, being able to get rid of the item, and then just giving you a really good dark type coverage move for a lot of physical attackers is good. Bug Bite's really cool. This is pretty much just for like Scizor and Scyther, but Scyther here, Scyther. I cannot spell. Scyther. There we go. Scyther is really nice this generation. We talked about this in one of my videos recently, about how it can run Technician and it gets access to Bug Bite, as well as Dual Wing Beat, which is awesome because Dual Wing Beat's another one of the TMs that's back in the game. And so just getting access to that with the Technician, I'm just going to make this Pokemon actually very usable again. I use this a little bit in Sword and Shield, but with Dynamax I feel like it wasn't quite as useful. And that's going to be kind of nuts. So that's going to be really fun to use. Super Feign, super nice move to use again, especially on like weaker Pokemon. If you can find a Pokemon with like Toxic and Super Feign, that's going to be super good. Vacuum Waves is going to be kind of a nice special priority option for some Pokemon. Lunge, just kind of a nice option again for some physical Pokemon, rounds out your coverage. High horsepower is going to be nice. This is a big one right here. It's Icicle Spear, massive TM. Now that we have loaded dice, to just get like 100 to 125 base power off the Icicle Spear is going to be absolutely insane. We'll talk about some Pokemon in just a minute that are going to take some huge advantage of that, but I'm really excited about that. Scald's back in the game. That's another big one, and they definitely limited the amount of Pokemon that get access to Scald. We'll take a look here. Scald. Colossal's kind of cool. Not a crazy special attack stat, but it's kind of cool that it gets Scald. Alamola, super nice that it gets the Scald. It doesn't get Toxic too, which is kind of nuts. That's where this Pokemon really shined, I think, was having access to the Scald or the Toxic, depending on the situation you were running. But it's still really nice that Alamola gets access to the Scald again. Gyarados kind of an interesting one. Goodra's kind of cool with Scald. Milotic's definitely going to appreciate that. And then Sinistra, we haven't talked about that yet, but it's going to be kind of cool that gets Scald too. Kind of nice on the Slowbro as well. Vaporeon, definitely some bulky Pokemon that can take advantage of it. So not that many Pokemon get access to Scald, and then Pincurchin too, but I don't really know. Maybe there's a world where you use that. I think Pincurchin's better about like kind of just using Nuzlocke to paralyze your opponent's Pokemon. But nice nonetheless that it's back in the game. I know it's kind of like horrible. It was horrible when every Pokemon ran it, so I definitely like that they're limiting how many Pokemon could access the Scald. But I do like that it is back in the game. Just with some of the power creep we've seen with some Pokemon. Heat Crash, maybe you find a Pokemon that can make good advantage of Heat Crash. Maybe it's like a weird coverage move. What Pokemon? And Heat Crash, if you don't know, it does more damage like the heavier you are, just like Heavy Slam. It's like the fire equivalent to that. So if you're a heavy Pokemon, you can take good advantage of it. Not really. I mean, Kabaraja makes good use of it as a good coverage move. A lot of these other Pokemon aren't really going to want it. Maybe Snorlax. Maybe there's a world where you use it with Snorlax. And I think Slitherwing may be decently heavy, so not crazy, but interesting enough that's back in the game. Solar Blade could be kind of fun if you're running a Sun team. It's like Solar Beam, but like a physical version, so you don't have to wait for a charging turn if you have the Sun up, so that's kind of a cool move that they added recently, and then most recent gens. Uproar actually does decent damage, and it doesn't allow you to fall asleep, so even though it's like not really a move like a normal base 90 power special normal move that you have to lock yourself into wouldn't normally seem like a good option, there actually is some like interesting usage with Uproar that I think is kind of cool. Focus Punch being back in as a TM is awesome. This is a really fun move to use. It's a little bit trickier to use, but definitely it has this usage. So it's nice that more Pokemon get access to the Focus Punch again. This is a really big one, Weather Ball. Being able to get the Weather Ball up in the weather and just round out your coverage on like weather teams is going to be awesome. Grassy Glide's a big one, especially for like Rillaboom that can set the grassy terrain and then now have that boosted Grassy Glide with that priority is going to be super nice. Burning Jealousy, kind of an interesting one, may give some new Pokemon some interesting coverage with that. Flip Turn now as a TM, that's going to be kind of nice for pivoting, especially in a 3v3 setting. Just get a little bit of momentum and get some chip damage down with the Flip Turn is going to be really nice. Dual Wing Beat's a really big one. I'm really excited about this being back in the game. What other Pokemon get access to the Dual Wing Beat now? Let's take a look here. Braviary, that's gonna be kind of nice. Bombardier, maybe that's kind of nice. What else? Decidueye can be kind of cool. Gliscor probably could make some really good use out of it. Hawlucha, it definitely appreciates that a lot. Fillwater already got it. Cleavor, that could be a good move for Cleavor for sure. Although I think Cleavor, with the sharpness, you get boosted aerial ace damage. So honestly, that's probably better in a lot of situations. If you're running the Cleavor. What else? Salamence already had it. Scizor and Scyther again are going to really appreciate that. Maybe Slitherwing takes good advantage of it. So, and Galarian Zapdos, definitely that's going to be a nice one to have it on. And Staraptor as well is kind of cool. Talonflame's a good one. So, Talonflame may have actually already had it. But nonetheless, it's nice that it's back in the game. What else do we have here? Poltergeist is another really cool one. It's nice finally having like a pretty reliable physical ghost type option on some Pokemon. Golurk, I was running Golurk with Poltergeist when they added this in Sword and Shield, and that Pokemon put in so much work just because it had such a high base attack stat. And there's definitely going to be some Pokemon that make some good use of this move, so that's going to be super nice. Lash Out's not really that great. Scale Shot could be really nice in some Pokemon. Again, with the loaded dice, you might find some like really high base power. Maybe like Haxorus or Garchomp with the loaded dice. You Sword Stance, and then you Scale Shot, so you're going +2 at attack, and then you just get a little bit extra speed. So you can find some really cool options with that. Then Misty Explosion, I think, is kind of niche, but maybe find a cool use for that. So that's the new TMs, and now let's go ahead and take a look at the new Pokemon here. So Arbok being back in the game. Arbok, kind of when I think of Arbok, I think it's just one of those classic Generation 1 Pokemon that has really low overall stats. Like, yeah, look at this. It's kind of bad overall, right? We're not above 100 at any one of our base stats, which kind of sucks. But you do get some nice tech. You get, Acid Spray is kind of cool on it too. You have Stockpile, Glare, Coil's your big one. Being able to set up Coil is going to be super nice. Gastro Acid, that's actually kind of nice. Being able to eliminate the target's ability, I forgot about that move. And maybe we're gonna talk about that a little bit more in another video, but that's kind of cool. What I like about Arbok though is that you get access to the shed skin, and so if you're setting up with Coil and then you can rest, you can get rid of that sleep condition pretty quick, and just do some pretty cool things with that. And then also Coil boosting your accuracy is gonna be really nice synergy with the gunshot, since you have that low accuracy but that high damage. So that's gonna be really nice on the Arbok as well. So definitely kind of nice there. And then with Terra types too, you can get rid of those weaknesses that you have and actually be able to set up a little bit easier, which is kind of nice. Sand Slash and Alolan Sand Slash can be back in the game. That's kind of nice. I already took a look at this Pokemon a little bit because I was hoping that the Alolan Sand Slash would get access to like Pin Missile and Rock Blast too, and so you could run loaded dice and just have this Pokemon be nuts. It doesn't get access to either of those moves, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Especially like the Pin Missile, I think would have been really cool. But just kind of does what Sand Slash does. Normal Sand Slash, Cantonian Sand Slash. It's kind of nice because like under Sand, you get the Sand Rush. That can be really good. You can set up Sword Stance and then just kind of sweep with that. And then I also Sand Rush. Sand Rush is what I was talking about here. Does that get what is the other one? Oh, Sand Veil. Okay, so you don't even get the one that boosts your power. And the speed. I don't know if that's even one. I think I might just be mixing that up in my head. And then Alolan Sand Slash is kind of nice, just because you have a lot of resists with that ability. Not too many weaknesses. You're really weak to fighting there, but definitely could find its use. Nice to get some switch-ins. Maybe you run like Rocky Helmet on it. It just have to be a bulky, like an offensive attacker. And then you can set up hazards if that's your kind of thing. Better, more in like a 6v6 setting. So Clefable, this is a huge one. Clefable is probably one of my favorite competitive Pokemon of all time. This Pokemon is just so easy to use. It has two of the best abilities in the game with Magic Guard. So like ignoring all damage, like if you get Toxic or Burned, you're not getting damage. No entry hazards, like nothing like that. And this is what I'm really excited about against Gargantuar. You're not taking damage from the Salt Cure, so that's going to be huge. And this is just so easy to set up with this Pokemon. You have a lot of setup options. I really like Cosmic Power with Stored Power, and I prefer Magic Guard. Unaware is a phenomenal ability, but we have a lot of really good Unaware users, and just being super weak to Toxic right now. I think a lot of people are going to be running Toxic, especially with the new Poison Legendaries. So I think just Magic Guard is just having a nice shutdown to that's going to be huge. It might just be the only Magic Guard Pokemon in the game right now, so I'm really excited for that. And you still have some really good setup options. I'm going to do a team build actually, and definitely going to use Clefable just because I love running this Pokemon. Team Lu being in the game actually makes it a little bit harder with the set I like to run, but we can talk a little bit more about that like when we get to that point. So, but very excited that this Pokemon's back in the game. Huge threat. You're going to see a ton of Clefable, so definitely be aware of that. Be prepared for that for your team builds. Ninetales being back in the game. Ninetales is awesome. I'm really excited about this, and I think it gets access to Reefok. No, it doesn't. Never mind. What is it? It does get the Healing Wish at least. So it gets Healing Wish, which is kind of cool. You can set up Sun. You can Healing Wish for one of your partners. So maybe late game, that's kind of nice. Also have like the Memento. It's just nice to have another like Drought Pokemon besides Torkoal. A little bit faster of an option, a little bit more offensive. Terragrass I think would be really good on this too with Solar Beam. And then also just like getting rid of those weaknesses, like Ground is going to be huge. So kind of a fun Pokemon to use there. Definitely kind of a cool support Pokemon. Stats aren't anything to brag about. Like you can go down to the stats. Another one of those Generation 1 Pokemon with like not crazy stats or anything like that. But with setting your own Sun, at least you find some more like offensive power. You can go Overheat. You can do a lot of really cool things. So definitely nice stats back in the game. And then Alolan Ninetales, we know this Pokemon's a huge threat. Being able to set up the Snow in Aurora Vale is just going to be super nice for your setup Pokemon. So another really good support option as well. So I'm very excited about that. Happy these guys are back in the game. Poliwrath is a Pokemon that actually has gotten some new moves over the years, and we haven't really seen it in a long time. We saw it in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, but that didn't really have a competitive scene. So it gets access to liquidation now, which is super nice. It has knockoff. It gets some other interesting moves, so definitely has a little bit more viability. I could see this thing being pretty good on like a rain team since it has access to the Swift Swim, I believe. Swift Swim, yeah. So very, very nice. Its stats again aren't anything crazy as a Generation 1 Pokemon, pretty low, below 100 on all those stats there. But 90 in the hit points is pretty decent. This Pokemon's pretty bulky, and then if you can set up in the rain and do some cool stuff, that's kind of nice as well. So there's definitely some new things that this Pokemon gets access to that make this Pokemon pretty good. Does it get access to the Wave Crash? I'm curious. Wave Crash. No, it does not, but that's okay. You could do like Hypnosis, Blunder Policy with this Pokemon too, which would be kind of nutty. So just kind of a fun Pokemon to use as well. Victory Bell, super good in the sun here. Take a look at stats first. So pretty low stats, but you can go special or physical with it, or go as a mixed attacker in the sun. You can set up a growth, and you have the Chlorophyll ability to boost your speed a little bit. We can run up here, Chlorophyll, boost your speed. Growth is going to double your attack and your special attack, and you can go like Solar Blade or Solar Beam or Weather Ball. There's just a lot of really cool things you can do. It does have access to Sleep Powder too, which is kind of nice. So some interesting stuff you can do with Victory Bell here. It's kind of fun. And then Terra as well. Golem's kind of nice, but the one that I'm really excited about is a Alolan Golem. Just being able to go Explosion with the Galvanize ability, just get crazy damage off that's going to be kind of fun. You know, maybe you set up rocks and then you just Galvanize Explosion. It just kind of set the pace at the beginning of the battle, which would be kind of good. I don't think Custap Berry is in the game right now. They did add Moringa Berry and Key Berry back, but I don't think Custap Berry is back in the game. And the reason I mentioned that is normal Golem with the Sturdy ability was really good with the Custap Berry, because you could set up like hazards, like you could set up Stealth Rocks, and then that actually gave you positive priority if your hit points were like 25% or lower or something like that. So it guaranteed you to get like the Earthquake, no, not the Earthquake, the Explosion off. Earthquake, I guess, if you had a Ghost type Pokemon you're up against. But so it was kind of nutty. I don't think that we have access to the Custap Berry right now, so that's kind of disappointing, but kind of a fun Pokemon to use as well. Weezing and Galarian Weezing is going to be super nice. Both these Pokemon have access to the neutralizing gas. There's a lot of Pokemon with some crazy abilities at this generation, so having access to the neutralizing gas is going to be a lot of fun. What this means is you're actually going to be able to Toxic Gargantasalt, which is going to be so nice. Because that Pokemon has been a huge threat. And so you could probably run like Covert Cloak so that you're not taking Salt Pure damage. And then set up a Toxic install with this Pokemon. That could be really fun. There's some other Pokemon that'd be nice to like shut down their abilities with. Maybe with the neutralizing gas, you go Terra Ghost against like an Ursaluna Blood Moon, and just kind of like absorb the hit, the normal type hit, so that they can't hit you, and it gets rid of your ground weakness too. So there's definitely some cool things you can do with this Pokemon, and it just has really good coverage overall too. Destiny Bond, that's kind of fun. Memento, there's just a lot of really cool support things you can do with this Pokemon. Haze, or Clear Smog, I guess you'd probably want to run Clear Smog over Haze in most cases. So yeah, really fun Pokemon overall. Snorlax, this Pokemon's gonna be a huge threat. I think it lost access to some of its tech that made it really good, but you can still Belly Drum Rest with this Pokemon. It's got the Gluttony ability, so maybe you do some other fun things with that. You have Stockpile, so you can boost both your defenses and find some interesting advantages that way. Do you still have the immunity ability too? You do, so that's really nice as a setup Pokemon. Just great stats overall. We'll go down to the stats here. Just having such a high hit point stat just makes you so bulky, and this Pokemon just puts in so much work. And then also the attack stat. That's massive with a Pokemon with that much hit points. This Pokemon's just so good, right? So really fun Pokemon. Really glad it's back in the game. It's definitely one of my favorite Pokemon to use. Furret doesn't really do much. I'm not even going to talk about Furret that much. Like, I don't think this Pokemon does much. It's just so weak with the stats that you can't really do anything crazy with this Pokemon. So I'm not really too worried about it. It gets Coil. I didn't know it got Coil. That's kind of cool, actually. Oh, so you can coil Baton Pass. That's kind of interesting. There's something, I guess. Um, but nothing crazy. No, nothing like meta defined there. Ariados is gonna be just another nice option against like Breloom. Because you have the Insomnia ability, so you can't get put to sleep. You just have really good like typing against Breloom. You can set up Sticky Web and do some interesting things with that. It's a little bit higher damage output than what is it, Spidops. You get like the Mega Horn, I believe. Still, do you sit with the Mega Horn? Probably gets the Mega Horn. It might be an egg move. Yeah, it's an egg move. So the Mega Horn's super nice. Not super strong of a Pokemon with that bug typing. You have a lot of weaknesses and your stats are super low again. But this Pokemon definitely has a little bit of a niche. Very good against Breloom again. So there you go. Politoed, having another Drizzle Pokemon is going to be amazing. It's really nice to have another option besides Pelipper. I think Pelipper, having that Water Flying typing, just being so weak to Electric, just kind of limits your options, because as a Water Setter, as a Rain Setter, you don't necessarily want to go Terra. You kind of want that Pokemon that you're supporting with the Drizzle ability to be able to go Terra. And this Pokemon's bulky enough that I think you can set the Rain, even give it like the Damp Rock, and then go out into other options while still taking the super effective hit if you go like super bulky invested. So there's definitely some cool things this Pokemon can do. You can run Blunder Policy on it. Again, it's got some really high base power moves like Focus Blast and Hydro Pump and whatever. So I actually ran like Wide Lens on this Pokemon before with the Rain. We just run it like max hit points, max special attack, and you can find some really good usage out of this Pokemon that way. So kind of a fun Pokemon to use to really say that that's back in the game. We'll talk about his evolution, Ambipom's evolution, in a minute. Same thing with Yanma. Gligar is actually pretty good at heavy late Pokemon, but again, not having access to the Roost really hurts you here. Macargo, the only reason you'd really want to run Macargo is you have Flame Body and you have a super high defense stat, so yeah, 120 base defense, but really low hit points too, so it's kind of deceptive. It's not as good as you think it would be, just because those hit points are so low, so you definitely want to invest in hit points with this Pokemon. And even special attack is super low on this, but maybe there's like a physical attacker, you run this with like, what's the item? Rocky Helmet, and just kind of switch into a physical attacker and try to get the burn on them that way. That's really the best way I've found to use this Pokemon. And with Terastallization too, you can kind of get rid of those really bad weaknesses. Maybe there's something you can do with this Pokemon. It does get some good moves. Yawn, Clear Smog's really good. Lava Plume can be really good. But overall, I think this Pokemon's not the greatest, to be honest. Again, you came from an earlier generation where you had some really weak stat spreads. So we'll talk about Mammal Slime in just a minute here when we get there. Mighty Anna, pretty weak Pokemon. It does have access to the Quick Feed ability, so when it's poisoned, or status, I guess, it can be burned too. I guess you'd go poison if you're going physical. But when it's status, it gets a speed increase, and it also has access to the Nasty Plot, I believe, now. Nasty Plot, yeah. So you can boost your special attack, and you could actually catch some Pokemon off guard. I don't think that anybody's expecting Mighty Anna to do like any significant amount of damage, but you'd be surprised at how much damage you can get with the Nasty Plot. So you might be able to find some good KOs that way. I don't think you get access to the Swords though, right? No. So that's pretty much the only way you're going to really be able to find this Pokemon viable in a 1v1 setting, in my opinion. But it's back in the game. Ludicolo is very good Pokemon. That Water Grass typing, we've talked about this a little bit with the Wellspring Mask, with Ogerpon, very good typing. It's good in the rain with the Rain Dish ability. You also have Swift Swim, but I don't think that's like very offensive because your stats are pretty low. It's more of a bulky Pokemon. Yeah, 90 in the special attack, 70 in the attack. So definitely going to go more bulky. 100 in the special defense is really good. 80's decent in hit points. 70's pretty low, but usable physical defense. So you can just kind of hide behind rain and stay healthy. Maybe you even set your own rain. I think it's a pretty good rain setter. You can just kind of heal up with Rain Dish. You have Leech Seed, I believe. You should have Leech Seed, yeah, because low tat. So there's some cool things you can do with this Pokemon for sure. You can Leech Seed stall. things like that. I really like this Pokemon. Encore, really nice against like other Pokemon, be anti-setup. You have access to knockoff now, so you can get some good support with that. So I really like this Pokemon a lot. It definitely does have its niche. Shiftry got a huge buff in this generation. So Shiftry now has the Wind Rider ability, which boosts this Pokemon's attack stat, and gives it immunity to Wind type moves. And it also has access to Tailwind, so it can set up a Tailwind, get double speed for a couple of turns, and then also boost its attack. And you actually have a usable attack stat. So 100's not like anything crazy, but if you run this thing with Life Orb, set up a Tailwind, and then you have some pretty good coverage with your Dark type moves. I'm assuming you have knockoff now too, right? Off, yeah. So you have knockoff, and you have Leaf Blade. So this Pokemon definitely got a huge buff this generation. I'm really excited to see that this Pokemon's getting a little bit of love. You have Sword Stance too, which maybe if you can find a Sword Stance, you can find some sweeping potential with the Sucker Punch. It's a pretty decent Sucker Punch Pokemon. We have a lot of better ones, I think, now with King Gambit and Chin Pao, but there are definitely some interesting things this Pokemon can do. So maybe if you're a big Shiftry fan, there you go. Nose Pass, we'll talk about his evolution in a minute. Volby and Illumes, just nice Prankster Pokemon. I'm not even going to look at the moveset, but it gets Prankster. I think Illumes gets the Charm. Yeah, so you get Charm, so that's pretty much how to run that Pokemon. You can Baton Pass, Tail Glow, I believe, on one of these. I think that's Volbeat. So there's some cool things you can do with these guys. Crawdon, just really, really high attack stat, and then you have the Crab Hammer, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, 120 attack stat with the Crab Hammer. It makes this Pokemon really strong. So there's some fun things you can do with this. Knockoff as well. You have adaptability, which makes you just super, super powerful with those stab moves. So definitely a Pokemon to respect. Milotic has really, really good defensive stats here. We'll go down to its stats. So crazy special defense, really high hit points, and then decent defense as well. You also have access to the Marvel scale, which boosts your defense even more if you're statused. So maybe you run the same with the Flame Orb and do some cool things with that. Do you get Fling? I just thought about this. You do not get Fling. I was gonna say, if you could Flame the Flame Orb and burn a opposing Pokemon, that'd be kind of cool. But you don't get access to the Flame. But you do have Scald. You're one of the Scald users, and Scald's back in the game now. So really bulky Pokemon, really good overall Pokemon, kind of fun to use. And you get Coil as well, which you can definitely take advantage of with those. It's natural bulk. You can set up some Coil and do some fun things with that. So overall, pretty good Pokemon here. What else we have? Dusclops, the phenomenal Eviolite Pokemon. If we take a look at its stats, I think it's got 130 on the defense and physical defense, special defense and physical defense. Low hit points, so you definitely want to invest in the hit points, but you can burn Pokemon with Will-O-Wisp and just do some fun things with that. You got Nightshade, Pain Split, so just some really cool Pokemon. Fun Eviolite user. Dusknoir is not the greatest in my opinion, but you do have the Punching Glove in this generation, so maybe you can do Punching Glove and do like punching moves. You have Shadow Punch with Dusknoir as well, so that's kind of cool. Chimecho is the one I think I was thinking of when I was talking about Ninetales. I think you get access to Revive Blessing somehow. No. One of these new Pokemon, I swear, got access to Revival Blessing, and I can't remember which one it is. Yeah, okay, this Pokemon just kind of sucks. Never mind. Entrainment, maybe you entrain a Pokemon if you're worried about its ability. Cosmic Power, kind of a cool move. And I think you can Baton Pass at least. Yeah, so you can Baton Pass, Cosmic Power. That could be kind of strong, I guess. You do not have Revival Blessing like I thought you did. Yawn's really nice on this Pokemon. Your stats are pretty bad though overall. Better defensively, that is usable, but you're not going to do anything offensive with this Pokemon, other than maybe be a stored Power Sweeper. So Torterra, I think a lot of people already know this now, but it gets access to Shell Smash. Yeah, Shell Smash on Torterra is awesome. That is so much fun to use. And you can also Terra to get rid of that huge weakness to the ice typing as well. So your speed's relatively low, but 56, if you're doubling that, I mean, we already talked about how like Ursaluna Blood Moon with double speed, you can sweep with that, and that's even a little bit faster, so that's going to be super, super nice. So maybe you run Whiter, Shell Smash, or whatever you want, really. I mean, Shell Smash is going to be such a fun way to run this Pokemon. It also just like a really good bulky Pokemon too. You can run Leech Seed on it. And just run as a tank as well. So really, really fun Pokemon to use here. It's nice to see it get some love. Empoleon, the biggest thing, it's the only Steel Water type Pokemon. So that's really, really good typing. And there's some cool things this Pokemon can do. And they changed its ability from Defiant to Competitive. So it's just like the special version of Defiant, where if you get your stats lower, like by an Intimidate or whatever it may be, you're going to boost your special attack by two stages. And I think that it definitely takes more advantage of that with your stats here. Really high special attack at 111, so definitely kind of nice to see Empoleon get that change. This Pokemon does some cool things. I think it has access to the Roost and Defog as well. Roost, yeah, it gets Roost. Oh, I didn't know it got Yawn too. That's really cool. It gets Power Trip as well. All right, that's cool. I really like that actually. And just get Defog. Okay, so no Defog on Empoleon, but that doesn't really matter too much in a 3v3 setting. I don't think that hazards are too big of a deal, but we do see like Pokemon like Garchomp and Tainloo running them quite a bit right now. So we have Iron Defense and Sword Stance with the Power Trip, so that's actually really cool. I didn't know it got Power Trip, so I really like that. So that's kind of fun. You might be able to find some fun stuff. Ambipom, Fake Out, Last Resort. That's the way to run this Pokemon. It's a really fun way to run it. You got a really good speed stat being at 115, so outspeeding even Ogerpon. And you can just kind of Fake Out and then Last Resort for some crazy damage. You could go Terra Normal, and maybe you just find some cheese with this Pokemon. You could run Life Orb to boost your damage, or like the Silk Cloth, just for normal type moves. So kind of a fun Pokemon to use. Talked about Snorlax already. Yanmega, another speed boost Pokemon that can also Baton Pass, which is really nice. This Pokemon can actually speed boost with the Nasty Plot, which is really, really nice. It has a decent special attack stat. Yeah, 116. So your speed's kind of low. You're definitely gonna want speed boost on this Pokemon, but you can do some cool things. It has Ancient Power, Air Slash, Bug Buzz, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, Bug Buzz. So this Pokemon's kind of a fun Pokemon to use, and definitely worth taking a look at. I'm not going to talk about Gliscor. We already mentioned that earlier, how it lost access to Roost. So I really don't think it's that viable, to be honest. Mamoswine, I am so excited for this Pokemon. This is one of the ones I'm most anticipated for. You got phenomenal stats. Let's go down to its stats first. So awesome having that hit point stat, that 110 hit point stat, huge physical attack, then decent defenses with that 110 hit point stat, and then 80 speed. You're actually speed tying with what's it called, Okidoki, which is a big one, especially when you have a super effective stab hit against it. So if you're running this thing with max speed, you still find some natural bulk here. The other really cool thing about it is with Terastallization, now you can run Big Fat. I think Grass type's going to be super, super good Terra type with Mamoswine. And that's going to just get rid of two of your weaknesses as Grass type. And also just not make you weak when you Terastallize against like a Water type Pokemon that's trying to do some good damage to you. So that's super, super nice. And then the other big thing is with loaded dice, you get Icicle Spear, I think you get access to Rock Blast. You do get access to the Rock Blast. So you can run loaded dice with Icicle Spear and Rock Blast and Earthquake, and just do some crazy things. You have Ice Shard for like a really powerful priority move. So this Pokemon is going to be absolutely insane. I definitely can't wait to try it out on the competitive ladder. It's going to be really, really good hidden threat and regulation. Probopass, kind of a cool Pokemon. The biggest thing that always holds this Pokemon back, it's got a really low base speed, and then it's just got a ton of weaknesses with the Rock Steel typing. So maybe in a world where it can Terastallize, you find some cool tech. You do have access to Body Press now in Iron Defense. And when you have as high of a defense stat as you do with this Pokemon, it can make really good use of that. It also has Magnet Rise to get rid of that ground weakness, so that's kind of cool. You can do Magnet Rise and then run it like Terra Electric, so you have no weaknesses, and that can be kind of good. You have Metal Burst to catch some Pokemon off guard, so that's kind of cool. What else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Maybe you want to set up the Gravity for some Pokemon that support some Pokemon with the Gravity, which could be kind of fun. So, all in all, you get Taunt, too. That's kind of surprising. I didn't think this Pokemon would get Taunt. Power Gem, pretty powerful, but it's got pretty low special attack. Steel Beam. What is your special attack? Okay, so that's not even worth it. But, yeah, kind of a cool Pokemon. And then Dusknoir, like I was saying, maybe you run it with the Punching Glove now, because you have all the elemental punches. You have Shadow Punch. I don't think you have any good setup punching moves, but then if you could go like 1-for-1 plus just with your natural bulk, you have just a little bit more defense and a little bit more hit points than Dusclops. So if you went like full hit points, full attack, maybe you can just go 1-for-1 plus with this Pokemon. You have Shadow Sneak, which is kind of nice just to have that priority, Will-O-Wisp. So Confuse Ray could actually kind of go to this Pokemon. There's definitely some interesting things you could do. That's kind of nice. All in all, I think Dusclops is a better Pokemon than Dusknoir, but I like the Dusknoir. Mythicals, Conkeldurr. This is going to be another huge threat. This is definitely one of the best Pokemon that's recurring in the game. So we see with its stats, massive hit point stat again, huge attack stat, and some decent defensive stats as well. Speed's pretty low at the 45, but you don't really need speed on this Pokemon when you're as bulky as you are. And then you have the Guts ability too. Guts and Sheer Force are both really nice, and Iron Fist, honestly. But I think that Guts is probably your best one. Running Flame Orb so you can't get status. Then you can go Terra Normal and Facade, or you can go Terra Steel just to get rid of all your weaknesses as a fighting type Pokemon, and that could be pretty decent as well. You have some really good moves. You have Drain Punch to just stay healthy. You have Mach Punch. I believe you have Mach Punch. Yeah, you have Mach Punch. So when you have a Pokemon that puts out this much damage with like Guts, and then you have a priority move, I mean that's absolutely insane. You can go Facade again, like I said. You have Knockoff, Earthquake to round out your coverage, Ice Punch, like the elemental punches. You have Bulk Up. So this Pokemon is just an absolute unit, and definitely don't sleep on this. This thing's gonna do a lot of damage. I think people are gonna be more inclined to use like the new legendaries, the new forms. They're just gonna look past Pokemon like Mamoswine and Conkeldurr. So maybe by taking advantage of these Pokemon, you just like climb your way up the ladder pretty easily here. Levani, it's got some cool things. I think you're pretty weak defensively to where you're not really doing, 75 and 80s. Like I was gonna say, with that typing being so bad, being so weak to so many things, with the Blood Grass typing, maybe Terra helps you find some new things. But I think this Pokemon's really just better off running Focus Sash, going down to that 1 hit point range. You have Swarm to boost your bug type moves, and you can set up like a Sword Stance and just rely on your natural speed. What's your speed? Oh, so your speed's kind of low, honestly. That's kind of bad, unfortunately. You do get Switcheroo, which could be kind of cool, so maybe you could lock Pokemon in. I don't know, maybe you run Choice Scarf and just go Adamant, and then you could just Switcheroo and lock like a setup Pokemon into a status move, which would be really cool. Felstainer, you can do some really cool things with Felstainer, actually. If you have a Pokemon like Staravia, yes, I said Staravia, run like Focus Sash, it could set up a Tailwind, and then use Endeavor. So the Staravia faints, and then you come in with that boosted speed, you use Felstainer, boost your attack by 2 stages, then you can kind of sweep from there. So that's kind of cool. You can run Terra Blast with whatever Terra type you need to get some extra coverage. So definitely, I think there's a world where this Pokemon could be pretty good, find some good matchups. Having Charm's kind of cool as well. If you Terastallize to get rid of your bad typing. Trailblaze. This Pokemon might actually be a really, really good Trailblaze Pokemon too, which is kind of cool. You have Light Screen Reflect, so maybe there's some support options there. Baton Pass is kind of cool. Knockoff. Yeah, this Pokemon's got some cool tech. Nothing crazy, but kind of cool. Swanna. I don't really know much about Swanna, to be honest. I think its stats are kind of underwhelming. Yeah, that's kind of like a Generation 1 stat spread. Speed being 98 means you're outspeeding a lot of stuff, but you're not fast enough to really find yourself at a good speed tier. So you kind of have to invest all in on your speed if you want to take advantage of that, just to be slower than a lot of Pokemon. Or just naturally rely on that, like whatever outspeeds you find. Maybe you invest in a little bit in speed, so it's kind of an awkward speed tier. You do get access to the Tailwind, so maybe you could be a Tailwind support. Knockoff, yeah, this Pokemon could be a good support Pokemon. Knockoff, Tailwind. Air Slash, Chilling Water, that could be kind of good. What else? What are your abilities on this Pokemon? Defense, speed. Yeah, none of these are that good, to be honest. Hydration would be kind of cool if you set the rain, and maybe you go like rest with that. But Feather Dance could be kind of nice, lowering your opponent's attack stats. So all in all, pretty good. Chandelure is going to be nuts. This Pokemon's got such a high special attack stat, and I love to see it. 145 special attack stat. And decent enough speed, just slap a Choice Scarf on this thing and this thing's gonna sweep. And the other cool thing about Chandelure I found out is you can actually find whatever this guy is, Lampent, in the overworld with a Grass Tear type. And that Grass Tear type I think is pretty good because it gets rid of your ground weakness, it gets rid of your water weakness, and whatever. And you can run Energy Ball on that, so you don't even need to run Terra Blast to take advantage of the Terra Grass. So really good Pokemon, super good with the Choice Scarf. We've seen this Pokemon also be really devastating running Substitute. I think it gets access to Nasty Plot as well. Let's see here. Nasty Plot. No Nasty Plot. Okay, maybe that'd be a little too dirty. You do have Minimize, so you could maybe find some cheese. Memento is kind of cool. Yeah, all in all, really cool Pokemon here. So let's take a look. Mienshao, it's kind of a cool Pokemon. I wish you were a little bit faster with this Pokemon being on 105 base speed. But what you can do with this Pokemon, and what I really like about it, is you have access to the Regenerator ability, and you slap a Life Orb on this thing, you can just go Fake Out, break a Sash, you can U-turn, pivot out, or you have Close Combat now. I think is your best physical option. You used to have to run High Jump Kick, but I think you get Close Combat now. Close Combat. So you can kind of just pivot out and get rid of that Life Orb damage. This Pokemon just has enough base attack, 125 base attack, that you're going to find yourself in a really good range. With the Fake Out into another attacking move, you might find a one-hit KO on a lot of Pokemon, just with the... you get Ice Spinner too, so that's super cool. But you're going to find some one-hit KOs just with some weaker Pokemon, so that's kind of nice. You get access to the Trailblaze. Kind of a fun sweeper Pokemon to use. Again, wish its speed stat was a little bit better, but that's okay. Mandibuzz is going to be a super bulky Pokemon, really good support Pokemon. I don't think you have access to no, you have Taunt. You don't have access to Toxic, you do. Oh my. So yeah, this Pokemon being a good Toxic Staller, you can Roost. I believe you get access to the Roost still. Yeah. So you have Roost and Toxic. Yeah, this Pokemon's gonna be insane, actually. And this Pokemon just has such good defensive stats. Huge hit point stat, really good defenses. And then what do you have for the abilities? I always forget. Overcoat, so you're immune to Spore too, which is gonna be awesome. Yeah, this Pokemon's kind of nuts. Definitely don't overlook Mandibuzz. Trevenant, we've seen some cool things with like Harvest, I believe. Yeah, Harvest and Citrus Berry. So you can keep generating that. You can Will-O-Wisp. I think you have Leech Seed. Excuse me. You get Leech Seed. So there's some fun things you can do with Trevenant here. Vikavolt, kind of a bad Pokemon just because your speed really holds you back. Really low speed stats, so even with the Choice Scarf, you're getting outsped by a lot of Pokemon. But with Terastallization, maybe there's a world where you actually can change your Terra type and just find some good options here. You get Agility. I wonder if you get Agility. You do get agility. So yeah, maybe there's a world where you agility, you have charge beam. So if you can go +1 with the charge beam with agility, maybe you can turn into a sweep Pokemon. How are your defensive stats? Pretty low overall. Defense is your best. Yeah, this Pokemon would be a lot better. I love its special attack, but its speed is just so bad, unfortunately. So there's that. Rabumbi is going to be nuts. You can set Sticky Web again, and then you also have access to the Quiver Dance. And any Pokemon with Quiver Dance is going to be crazy. You can switcheroo with like choice specs and lock the status Pokemon into the same move. You have screens, so just a lot of really good support tech. Tailwind. This Pokemon can't be bad with all that stuff, right? Your stats aren't great, but phenomenal speed stat and definitely usable special attack stat. Doesn't get access to the Sleep Powder, thankfully, because I think that Pokemon would be too good if it did. But can set up Quiver Dance, can set up Sticky Web, some support options. Definitely cool Pokemon to use. Komo-o. This Pokemon struggled to get its footing, even with the Cleaner Scales to boost all your stats. Losing that hit points, I just don't think it lives enough to really set that up a lot of times. But with the right support, if you get Pokemon like setting up screens or parting shot into Komo-o, maybe you can set up the Cleaner Scales and sweep from there. So that's kind of cool. You do have access to Dragon Dance. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And close combat, so that's gonna be really nice. Boom Burst. So maybe there's a world where you use Throat Spray and go special. How's your special attack? Decent special attack. So yeah, maybe you go Boom Burst and set up the Throat Spray and catching people off guard with that. That could be kind of fun with the Cleaner Scales. And then you also have a super good ability. You have Soundproof here, and we know a lot of Pokemon right now are relying on the sound moves. That's really good against Sylveon. That could be good against Skeldurge and a few other options, so that's kind of nice. And Overcoat, if you're worried about the... Actually, all three of these abilities are kind of good. Bulletproof's really good as well, so not a bad Pokemon. Not a bad Pokemon, as the Pseudo-Legendary should be. Cramorant, I don't even know what this Pokemon does. Gulp Missile. Yeah, I don't even think that's usable. Well, there's Gulp Missile. If you know how to use Cramorant, let me know, I guess. I think its stats are kind of bad. Yeah, stats are kind of bad. It's just another Generation 1 Pokemon, effectively. Not really, but it is, based on the stats. You know, you don't have a ton of options. So, if you can find some fun to do with Cramorant, let me know. Tailwind. Yeah, I don't really know. Got nothing. Amnesia's kind of nice. Stock Ball's kind of nice. But that typing, being a water flying typing, you're so weak to electric. You have to Terra with it. And with those low stats, I just don't get that usable. And Morpeko, I don't think this thing does anything that interesting. Gets access to the Power Trip, which is kind of cool, but I don't think you have like super good setup options. You have Bolt Seed, but I think your attack's kind of meh. Yeah, those stats are kind of bad again. You don't even have that good of a speed stat, so I don't know. This Pokemon's not that useful either. Nasty Plot's kind of cool, I guess. Baton Pass, that could be kind of nice. Other than that, I don't really know. But yeah, that's just my first impressions for all the new Pokemon, all the new moves. Hopefully that gave you some insight, gave you some ideas for Regulation E. I just kind of wanted to give you my thoughts on all this new stuff. So thank you so much for watching, and this is Gammy Gold Gamer out.